Hey there, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the holiday weekend if you're here in the United States, and for those abroad, welcome back. Today's video is going to be pretty straightforward and to the point. It's also going to provide a lot of scientific evidence behind what it is that a lot of folks have been ranting and raving about in regards to the improvements, or at least the perceived improvements, that FSX Theme Edition provides over regular FSX. If you watch my other videos, you'll know that I'm someone who had a lot of vast issues in the past. I'd fly big tube liners into high quality airports after on long distance flights, and it was a real burden on me to continue to have out-of-memory errors as I'd be righted on approach or as I'd be flying over complex scenery. However, since I've converted over to FSX Theme Edition, as many of you guys will know from my previous videos, I have not had such problems. And so myself, along with the hundreds of others who have well documented their experiences on places like AvSim or even Pete Dawson's forums, will all attest to the fact that FSX Theme Edition is indeed an improvement. However, there's still some folks who have doubt or have concerns or have questions as to the validity of that and whether or not it's something like a placebo effect or whether it's something real. I get it and I understand those concerns, and so that's why I've made all the videos that I've made to show everybody what the truth is behind FSX Theme Edition's performance, not just hearing it from, let's say, other YouTubers who admittedly have not really spent time with FSX Theme Edition, but instead kind of decide to imply their conjecture upon folks who have not experienced themselves and therefore impressionable, but to show you firsthand how this performs. And if you use FSX, you'll be able to do a comparison between the performance of your sim and the performance of the sim that you see me use, at least in regards to VAS usage and the stability of the simulator. So today, I had the day off of work, so I decided, hey, let's do an apples to apples comparison. Let's take FSX and FSX Theme Edition, let's put them on the exact same platform, the exact same settings with the exact same add-ons, and let's actually make a video showing the two of them side by side. So here we go, and I hope that you enjoy. And before we get started, I'll let you know what add-ons we're using down in the description below, and you'll also be able to see my settings in the early part of the video that I set in Microsoft FSX, and I carried over those same exact settings over to FSX Theme Edition. So once again, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy. Alright, so here you'll be able to see our settings, and we're using DirectX 9, aircraft's all maxed out, scenery's completely maxed out, weather is going to be off today actually, and then traffic, we're using Mytraffic 2013, and airline traffic's at 40, GA traffic is at 20, I believe actually 15, I'm sorry, and airport vehicle density is all the way maxed out, with boats and ferries at 20, and we are using GSX by FSDT. So we're going to be departing from KLAX today, which is FSDT's airport, and we're going to be flying from there on over to a abbreviated SID to KLGB, which is a add-on that's free, actually available on AvSim. Also, from there we'll be flying the PDZ approach into KONT, which is another freeware, and we'll be flying that approach. Now, as you guys saw, all of our sliders are maxed out, but also our LOD is increased up to 6.5. So our LOD is very high. It's usually the kind of LOD that would completely break the flight simulator. But I've actually been able to fly on an LOD of 6.5 from airport to airport, so I decided to try it with FSX as well. So we're all maxed out. We're going to be flying with an LOD of 6.5, and in FSX I also to make it an even playing field, I increased the max texture size to 4096, which is the default in FSX Theme Edition, and also put the HIGHMEMFIX as well into the CFG of FSX Theme, of regular FSX, and you'll see that a little bit later on in the video. So as you guys can see here, our VAS on the ground for FSX is pretty much maxed out already. I mean, it looks like, you know, in my experience, trying these similar settings, I've hardly been able to make it off the ground with those sort of settings. So it looks like she survived at least to this point. And now we're looking at FSX Theme Edition. Now that we're looking at FSX Theme Edition, you know, I skipped over the settings. We'll be looking at the CFGs a little bit later, so I skipped over the settings because they're the same exact settings from sim to sim. And down here I have my Process Explorer. You guys can see what our VAS will look like, and immediately when you look at the VAS from FSX to FSX Theme Edition, from when I loaded up from when I loaded up FSX to FSX Theme Edition, you'll notice that the VAS off the bat is much lower. Clearly Dovetail has done a great job optimizing the VAS usage of the simulator in the way that it not only loads those textures in the cache to begin with, but also of course the way that it manages that cache throughout the flying experience. So you know, hats off to them there, and you guys are going to see us do the same kind of thing. You know, you'll see the sim load, and if you notice, actually the textures loaded much faster in FSX Theme Edition. And we'll go outside, we'll do a quick spin around, and you'll be able to look at the VAS usage throughout that process, just like you saw with regular FSX. Just setting up our flight here, and carry over PDZ, and turn on our TFC, and then we'll go ahead and take a look outside, and you'll see immediately how much better VAS usage is off the bat. And this is, you know, all the same add-ons, same airport, same texture sizes, same LOD, same everything, and you know, FSX is saving a significant amount of that. So now we're going to actually do the split screen. We're going to do the side by side now that both of them have started their takeoff roll. So here we go. We're on our takeoff roll, and one thing you'll notice, and just something to note as well, is that FSX Steam Edition is on the right and FSX is on the left. So as you can see here on the ground, the frame rates in FSX, regular FSX, actually look to be a little bit better on the ground. They're about 4 frames per second, 3 frames per second, goes up and down. Great. And then, you know, actually you start to hear the pings already, indicating that we already have an out-of-memory error that's looming. It looks as though, you know, VAS just cannot hang on at this point, unfortunately. So, you know, we're in a really tough place. Luckily we're going out over the ocean, so that should help release some of the VAS resources. And, you know, we'll see if FSX can hang on. On the other hand, if you look at FSX Theme Edition, you'll notice that the VAS usage is remarkably better as we start our turn, and we have not heard any pings whatsoever in FSX Steam Edition. So, you know, take the science as you please, but you know, hopefully that helps some folks understand the VAS consumption benefits of FSX Steam Edition. You'll start to see our frame rates are pretty much starting to even out now, so they're right around 30, and they're swapping places. And we're about to start the last part of our abbreviated SID, so we're going to look outside of the cockpit. And I set up before the flights a fixed spot, or a locked spot position. As you notice, they're completely the same, so we're not really going to move around too much on the outside. We're just going to look from the outside so that you guys can see that the scenery is exactly the same, the LOD is exactly the same, the density is exactly the same, and then we'll just kind of enjoy the scenery and watch our VAS and our frame rate. So we're about to finish out our turn here to intercept our path between the abbreviated SID and KLGB. So let's see how it goes. So as you guys can see here, frame rates are, once again, kind of evened out. They're kind of swapping places, so definitely not as big of a variation as we saw on the ground. Sometimes FSX is up, sometimes FSX Steam Edition is up, but they definitely have seemed to stabilize quite a bit. However, the one thing that you will notice a massive difference in is VAS. So right now, FSX Steam Edition is saving VAS by about 500 or so, and it's looking pretty rough for regular FSX. It looks like, it looks like that out of memory is on its way. So we'll see how long she can hang on. We're coming right up to KLGB now. Looks like VAS has just completely gotten out of control for FSX. Soon when we cross over KLGB, we're going to switch to the inside view of the cockpit so that we can start setting up our approach to KONT, since we're already at our cruise altitude of 11,000. So let's see, and there she goes. So she's dead. Yeah. So I've used this performance benchmark for a long time. I could have told you that's pretty much what was going to happen. Actually, I used lesser settings before, and I could pretty much tell you that's what was going to happen with FSX. It just can't handle that VAS, and that's something we've just kind of learned to live with, but not anymore. So as you guys can see, FSX Steam Edition continues to chug on just fine. You guys can see that VAS is, don't get me wrong, it's high at 3.6 gigs. It's not something that I would normally feel comfortable with, but in my experience with FSX Steam Edition, she can come really, really close to the edge and still survive. So we'll see how long she can survive for. I have not done this particular benchmark with FSX Steam Edition, but I have a decent amount of faith that she'll be able to make it, at least I'd say to final, to maybe catch the localizer of KONT. I don't know if she'll make it to the ground, but we'll see if she can at least catch the localizer. So we're going to look at the CFGs here now, and I saved my FSX CFG on my desktop before I uninstalled FSX, and then I also am going to navigate on over to the CFG of FSX Steam Edition. You guys will notice that the way that they're organized is a little bit different in terms of which order things are in, but the core settings are still there. So the first thing I want to show you guys is, just so that none of the doubting trolls out there think that I'm making stuff up, I'll show you guys that indeed we did change the max text load, and I'll also show you that we also changed the LOD to 6.5, and it's there on both sims. So I'm going to navigate on down, and you'll be able to see those settings in both. So on the left, it's the one titled FSX Classic is obviously the old FSX, and on the right is the FSX Steam Edition. So you guys can see I'm just kind of searching through those settings now, so you'll be able to see the texture max load, and you'll be able to see the LOD that they've been changed, and of course also see that DirectX 10 is not being used. Normally I would fly with DirectX 10 because DirectX 10 is that much better on VAS, but just for the sake of today, I know there's some folks that have yet to convert over to DirectX 10, and I also know that there's also Steve's tool, which is great, but it's also kind of expensive. I know that some folks aren't ready to take the plunge on that tool just yet, so we're flying in DirectX 9 today. I'll tell you that the performance of the vast performance of FSX Steam Edition is outstanding, with DirectX 10 even more outstanding. So if you do have FSX Steam Edition, I'd highly advise you to switch over to DirectX 10, because even the struggle that you see FSX Steam Edition having today in terms of VAS is not as severe when you're using DirectX 10. You save on average 200 to 300 megs additional on VAS. So those are the CFGs. You guys can see they're pretty much all the same. You can feel free to pause the video at that point to look at them side by side and scrutinize them all you'd like. But you can see they're pretty much the same, or not pretty much, they are exactly the same. So here we go. We're continuing on over. We're almost here at our top of descent, and we're going to start throttling back. I'm going to deploy some spoilers here to slow us down once we start throttling back a little bit. So about to get that party started. Now, of course, we're going to see FSX Steam Edition even struggle here, I'm sure, because as you go slower, especially as you guys can see, this is a major metropolitan area that we're approaching here. As you go slower, the sim obviously loads and holds those texture resources and those autogen resources for even longer. So we're flying over, as you guys can clearly see, an extremely dense metropolitan area. A lot of forest, a lot of mesh data, a ton of vector data, with all those little streets and little rivers and all that. On top of course, the autogen, and of course the fact that we're rendering at a LOD of 6.5. It's gonna really stress the VAS here. So if FSX Steam Edition can make this, I dare to say can just about make anything. So let's see. Alright, so coming up here to our final part of our approach. So we're going to get ready to start our turn here any moment, and we'll look to intercept the localizer. As you guys can see, VAS is really starting to mount here, and it'll continue to mount as, like I said earlier, we continue to slow down and the sim just continues to soak in more and more of this auto-gen and more of this VAS. So, you know, this will be the true test if FSX Steam Edition is able to make it on down to the ground flying this aircraft. So we will see how she does. Very, very, very demanding. You know, as you guys saw, regular FSX didn't even make it over KLGB, and since then, you know, we've flown extremely far over a ton of very densely populated parts of Southern California, and now we're going very slow, coming very low, and we're going to be turning towards KONT once again. And the funny thing is, or something just to know, is that when you actually turn back like this, as we're going to be turning back towards the west, towards the ocean where we originally came from, it actually reloads some of the data from KLAX. So you're going to see the VAS not only because of the auto-gen jump up, but you're also going to see the VAS because of the reloading of some of the data from KLAX, and possibly even KLGB. You'll see it you know, start to really hit our VAS here. So you know, we're really pushing this thing to the limit. If we were just flying straight out, let's say to KPSP, or flying out to KDEN or something like that, or KLAS, it wouldn't be so much of a problem because we'd be flying away from that scenery. But basically, we've loaded all that really high quality scenery, and then we're turning around to load it again while we're flying low, while we're flying slow over this ridiculously highly densely populated area. So we'll see how long she lasts. And you guys can see here that it looks like VAS is pretty much hitting its limit now.
2,500.
We're, you know, creeping up to the 3.9 gigabyte range, and as you guys know, with a 32-bit application such as this, it dies at 4 gigabytes. So we're getting there. Don't know if we'll touch the ground, but we're getting there. So we're gonna set up our final now. I'm tempted to speed my way over to the airport just to keep us alive, but slow it down. And yeah, she's completely stressed out. You know, even as you saw those that black box kind of pop in there, you know, that's how you know the simulator is really stressed out, because it's trying to manage what little resources it has left. Almost at 4 gigs. We'll see if we will make it. Frame rates are really taking a hit too right now. And I mean, of course, I would never fly with these exact settings normally. I definitely think they're overkill. But you know, they're fun to do. It's fun to kind of stress out your simulator and see how well it can perform. Because obviously no regular flight, no regular day of flying would take you on this sort of a crazy route, especially with a, you know, high quality aircraft such as this Quality Wing 757, which is a little bit of an older aircraft as well, so it's not exactly optimized to modern FSX standards. You know, it's definitely nowhere near as optimized as, let's say, the 777 is, but you know, still performs well. set our final approach
500.
speed, or our landing speed, and slow it down for
400.
And you see Vass has pretty much hit its limit.
300.
Let's see if we can make it. You guys hear the pinging, obviously, the most annoying noise in the world.
200.
Let's see.
100.
And
50.
here we go
40.
with the auto landings
30.
thing, because I'm actually
20.
keyboard flying today. I'm
10.
flying off of a keyboard, so. And we did it. Not quite. Let's slow down. Let's slap the parking brakes on. So we're going to reverse. And all right. Well, hey, the impossible has been done. You've seen it with your own eyes. You saw how FSX died, and this is what we've been ranting and raving about. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and you can draw your own conclusions now. Take care, everybody.